Hello guys, welcome to Open Techno. Today I'm going to introduce you to the Kukirin G2 Master, one of the most powerful scooters and possibly with the most competitive price on the market. This is a scooter that has two motors, which together add up to 2,000 watts of power. A real beast that moves, that's scary, and that I'm gonna show you in this video. Let's begin with its design, focusing on its dimensions, which aren't that large given how powerful or big it appears. In terms of dimensions, it's very similar to others we've seen before. 126 centimeters long, 60 wide, that is the width of the handlebar, and a little over 130 centimeters tall, which is also the highest point of the handlebar. The scooter weighs 33 kilograms, which makes it too heavy to easily carry upstairs to your office or home. But well, if you ever need to fold it, you can do it, and later you'll see how it looks when folded. To fold the scooter, you'll see how sturdy it is. We need to remove it first. This latch that comes here is completely manual, and it's a piece that fits between the upper and lower part of the handlebar and the whole steering section. To make the play as minimal as possible, in this case, we have to take it out completely. Well, you can see I'm going pretty slow because my hand is cold. And once we get to this point, we pull a trigger that we have here on the side and our scooter would fold. Once it's folded, we can take this hook, put it on that little bar over there, and now we could carry it. Although, as I mentioned, it weighs 33 kilograms, we can move it, but hey, it's heavy. The scooter's overall design is similar to other Kukirin scooters. They share many aesthetic parts. We have a pretty minimalist design, completely black with some orange details. And for me, that's the distinguishing touch. As you can see, the lights give it that touch. Blue on the sides and orange on the back and front. We also have a brake light in the back and a light that illuminates the way in the front. But it adds an extra, slightly more rebellious touch. As for the floor or the board where we rest our feet, honestly, it's quite spacious. You'll see that we can place our feet in different ways. I'll admit, at one point, two of us were riding, and honestly, there's plenty of space. We also have this little part back here. If we want to support ourselves better, like when braking or whatever, and also, hey, if we want to have a little fun, do a wheelie or something like that. Of course, we have a wheel guard, both on the front and the back, which is important if we go off-road. This keeps dirt and mud from splashing on us. Now, let's quickly check the handlebars. First, we have the ignition key, so without that key, the scooter won't even work. Power button where we can set the 3 power modes available on this scooter, and then a dual or single mode, which basically just makes it work. The rear motor if we have it in single mode, and both motors if we have it in dual mode. Of course, here we have the throttle, the brakes, front on the right and rear on the left. And then on this part right here, we find turn signals that you can turn on and off with the same button, the activation of the lights, and a horn on the display. What we're going to find is on one hand the battery, the speed, and the power mode we're in. You can see it can be changed. At the bottom, there's an odometer and a trip meter since we last turned it on. And over here, it's going to show us the battery voltage and whether we're in dual motor mode or single motor mode. Let's discuss what matters most about this motor. Why is it special? First, it has 2 motors, one in the rear and one in the front. Both of them are 1,000 watts each for a total combined power of 2,000 watts. If we want to save battery, we're going to take a city route slowly. What we can do is go in single motor mode, which will move the rear motor. If we want max power and thrust to climb a hill, we will activate dual mode with both motors so it gives us that extra power. What's the top speed this scooter can reach? Although it's not street legal, I should mention it can exceed 60 kilometers per hour. As you've seen, first we have 2 configurations, single motor, dual motor, and then we have level 1, level 2, and level 3. Therefore, the scooter's top speed will vary. In dual mode, we'll reach 20, 40, and 60 kilometers per hour in modes 1, 2, and 3. Similarly, in single mode, it's 20, 40, and top speed drops slightly to 55 kilometers per hour. With this power data that this scooter has, we can climb slopes of up to 28 degrees of incline. As for the battery, we have a 52-volt battery, 52-volt technology, and a capacity of 20.8 amp hours, which the brand says gives us a range of 70 kilometers per hour. And maybe that could be true, but possibly in eco mode and with the lowest speed level. For example, we just traveled about 10 kilometers per hour and used roughly 20% of the battery. Easily, this would give us a real range of about 50 kilometers per hour. But well, in the end, it depends on how much you accelerate and so on, and the top speed you want to reach. And speaking of top speed, I wanted to tell you that this scooter doesn't have the certification or approval from the Dirección General de Tráfico to be, so to speak, legal when this law comes into effect. If you come here, we can limit the scooter's top speed to 25 kilometers per hour. And how do you do it? Well, it's very simple. You just have to grab the brake, either one, and a triangle will appear there. We double click the power button like this, and you'll see that the screen starts to blink. This way, the maximum speed that Kukirin will reach now will be 25 kilometers per hour. A positive aspect of this scooter, despite its limitation, is that it always reaches 25 kilometers per hour. Because I mentioned other scooters we could limit? Ultimately, we limited the motor's power, so going uphill, we couldn't reach 25 kilometers per hour and stayed at 15. Maybe not this one, it goes 25 kilometers per hour. Whether we're going downhill, on flat ground, or uphill in any situation, which is really good. To wrap up the topic of the battery, let me tell you that charging is done through this connector, which is hidden in the front part of the scooter. And well, charging would take about 7 to 8 hours to fully complete. If we use half the battery at the office, it will recharge in about 3 hours so we can continue. The scooter has both rear and front suspension, making it comfortable to ride on any terrain. If we had just one or no suspension, it would be a city scooter, but we can even use it on trails. Because as you'll see, honestly, the scooter always performs well. You'll see that the scooter has good suspension and good travel. Although, in my opinion, it's a little bit stiff, but that actually makes it very capable for, as I said, taking on rougher places, bumps, trails, and so on. It's all-terrain, and speaking of all-terrain, let's talk about the wheels it comes equipped with. Honestly, just like Kukirin on other scooters, I really love them. I'm not sure if these are their own wheels, but their impressive grip gives you confidence to go fast. How does this scooter perform? As you can see in some shots, it takes sharp turns and handles impressively. And it's true that when I first tried the brakes, it felt like they didn't brake much, but honestly, it was just because they were new. You need to brake gradually, being gentle at first, especially during the first few kilometers on the scooter. The brakes improve so much that squeezing the front brake hard can make you do a stoppie. To finish this part, I should mention that the tires are a bit off-road. They're 10 inches, which makes them quite stable, even at high speeds. And I should also mention that we have an e-brake, which is an electronic or electric brake that activates as soon as you touch either of the two brakes, both the front and the rear. And we can adjust its braking power a bit so that it's stronger or weaker. By adjusting the scooter itself, this way we would recover some energy in terms of the protection of this scooter. It has IP54, which means resistance to water and dust. What this will basically allow us to do is use it when it's raining, so if it gets splashed with water, nothing will happen. But if you're maybe a delivery person who uses it in a city where there might be big puddles, where the scooter could really take in a lot of water, you should be careful. It's not that you shouldn't use it, but you should be more careful. What it promises is to withstand splashes. Well, if we go out and it's just drizzling or raining, it will handle it perfectly. As for how it feels, for me this scooter has been the most powerful thing I've tried so far. It's true it's gentle, since the scooter accelerates smoothly when you press the throttle. It starts off being quite pleasant, but it has really good pushing power. That's something to keep in mind. For example, wheelies aren't easy. It doesn't have, for example, that instant kick, so to speak, that lets you do a wheelie or something like that. Although it reaches a speed that's really impressive, I've already told you more than 60 kilometers per hour, and it gets there in no time. For example, in the 25 kilometers per hour mode, you accelerate and it immediately hits 25 and stays there. Honestly, this scooter's acceleration is wild and works great. I mean, for me, the Kukirin scooters have always been the ones that have surprised me the most. Some scooters have handlebars that shake at 30 kilometers per hour, but this one is very stable. And then also, well, everything I've mentioned to you about the suspension, the wheels, in short, for me these are scooters that I really love. They work very well and I find them very, very robust. I haven't mentioned it, but it's obvious. Nothing creaks and it doesn't feel loose. Honestly, for me, these scooters are a 10, and for me, above all, this scooter is really worth it. If, for example, you're someone who moves around in town and there's 5 kilometers between one town and another, or, I don't know, you have to make long trips in the city. For me, it makes a lot of sense because it's a scooter that will handle it with a lot of ease. The total price is 770 euros, which is what this Kukirin G2 Master costs. Yes, it's a high price, but for me, it's the most powerful thing I've ever tried. When it comes to scooters, and we've already seen scooters that cost close to 600 euros, and they didn't even offer us a quarter of what this Kukirin can offer us. Regarding resistance, durability, power, and brakes, the entire cycle system. Anyway, for me, this scooter, if you want the best of the best, it's worth it. So with that, just leave any questions you have in the comments below. With Black Friday approaching and deals likely, we'll give you the lowest price. In the description and more details about the scooter. That said, if you liked the video, leave a like and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.